Great. All right, what's going on, guys? This is take 2 of episode 5 or 6. Now, see, I fucked up again. 5 or 6 of Sentence to Greatness podcast. We got our Arizona-based bodybuilders back on the show, Sid and Tommy. Welcome, gentlemen. We're going to have to restart our conversation here because we fucked up a little bit on the recording part. So what are you guys up to?
Oh, just doing it. Take 2 here. So I can give you a brief summary of what we talked about.
There you go.
We talked about the shitty background at the Olympia. The press conference was too WWE-esque.
Yeah.
But they don't get asked good questions at a normal press conference. So the purpose of the press conference is unknown. And the live stream, it's 2021 and we still haven't figured out how to not have significant technical difficulties. So
that was some good clip.
What did you guys like about the Olympia?
There was a few things that I liked. The format was really good this year with how they had the prejudging set up and the order they had it going in. Because they had like all the guys stuff go, I believe, first or second, and then they in the prejudging, and then they moved on to bikini and all that. Because I always have tons of stuff to do on Friday, so I don't have time to watch it all. So I just wanted to catch the guys and move on with my day because I had a million things to do. So that's one of the things that I liked is that they had that set up where if you wanted to watch those specific divisions, the guys were kind of next to each other, and it wasn't like bodybuilding, bikini, classic, and so I like that part of it. I like that. I like the fact that they had a live stream that was a pay-per-view, and they also had some like backstage stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if you guys bought the pay-per-view or not. They had some backstage stuff where they were like, there's cameras backstage and you could kind of see all that. So that was pretty cool to see, to kind of see like the behind the scenes of the Olympia and what they're doing back there, So those are a few good things in my opinion about the Olympia this year.
Yeah, I saw that they had that. I bought the pay-per-view as well, but I didn't click that. Only watch one at a time, right?
Yeah, you can only watch one at a time. Yeah.
So was it just a stationary camera of the back?
No, there was a few things. They had like interviews and stuff like that. So it was pretty good. I spent 90% of the time watching the other stuff, but I clicked on it briefly just kind of see what they had going on. So they did a good job with that. They have tons of room to improve on those live streams still. I feel like if there's a company that can figure out how to live stream bodybuilding shows in good quality, doesn't have to be like anything crazy, but just good quality where you're going to actually watch the show. They're going to make good money. Because I feel like every single pro show should hire them. We're like the only sport that doesn't have live streams of all of our like pro big events. It's kind of crazy. So, they should get.
Yeah, it doesn't have that many games, shows during the season, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. I wouldn't think it'd be that tough, like travel wise, for them to go to the different locations. But you just got to think about who's actually paying. The problem is, I don't know about you, Tommy. I don't know if you watch one of the YouTube free streams, but a lot of the people aren't paying for these pay-per-views, Like, somebody sent me a YouTube link, and it was funny. Hadi Chupan was live streaming the pay-per-view on his YouTube.
What?
For like a portion of the show. Which I saw at one point there was 16,000 people viewing it.
No shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 16,000 times 40, or I don't know if that was 16,000 views, but I believe it was 16,000 live viewers. And you think about 16,000 times 60, it's a lot of money that they're missing out on, So
I wonder if that's going to come back to him in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Not directly to him, but I wonder if they're going to say something to him. I mean, they can't like that part where fucking Hadi Chupin is.
I thought that was actually something, because after prejudging, like they didn't call him out in that last call out of 2, right, with Brandon Curry and Rami.
Yeah,
it was just those 2. I thought for sure Hadi was like in there in the mix of the top 3, and the fact they didn't call him out, I was like, Was it the live stream? Like, did they find? Are they actually going to penalize him for that? Was it the knotted delts? We can talk about that later, right?
Yeah.
The issue with his delts, but
So I mean, we can get into that now that we're at it. So what did you guys think of that? Top six. Where do you guys see? Was it fair judging? Was there something that you guys think should have been different? Because obviously Ramy with the win. Did he deserve it? Sure. I think it's not. There wasn't any sort of robbery or fuckery involved in Ramy's win. Could have gone either way, I guess, between Brandon and Ramy. I mean, we're comparing completely two different bodybuilders, so just I guess depends the look that they want to go with or what they want to reward, I guess. So I don't think there was any fuckery there. What do you guys think?
Well, I believe Ramy was only up by 1 point after Friday night.
Yeah.
And then he did what he needed. Chad and him did what they needed to do, and they kind of, sealed it on Saturday. So he definitely came in. The quads weren't as separated on Friday night, and he just didn't have that sharpness that I was expecting based off how his face looked.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to me, he won more poses than Brandon. Like the side tricep, I liked Brandon in, personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, just from the back is just he's just so big.
Yeah. It's just,
You know
it's
what I
just
mean?
a lot of meat. And at the end of the day, it is a bodybuilding show. So they're going to reward the muscle,
And Brandon's legs, they're good, but I think if Brandon had better legs, he might have, maybe had the lead on Ramy on Friday night. But
yeah,
I don't see Brandon getting any better from this point in his career on.
Which is
personally,
crazy because I thought he was way better than he was last year.
I agree.
Yeah,
yeah.
There was just some sort of the roundness and the fullness of the muscle that he has. He's got great separation up top, but like you said with the legs, that's where I feel like he always gets killed. He just doesn't have those deep lines in his quads. It's like that spongy feeling. It's not like he's not in shape because you could see how thin his skin is, even in the side shot. I mean, it's thin. You see the veins, but then when he goes and any front pose, it's like he doesn't have those deep quad lines, and it just bothers me so much because I feel like he could be such a freaking incredible physique if he just could. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's genetic for him or it just he doesn't. I don't know. I've never seen his quads pop out like that, and his physique is so great that it hurts him. See, even if you see in this shot, you see what I'm talking about. There's just like no depth in his quads right here.
Yeah, and especially since Ramy is a guy who also gets knocked for the shallow quad lines. If Brandon had that great separation with his shape, I feel like that would make him much more competitive against Ramy because then he'd have what Ramy doesn't have, right? But
yeah,
when you look at him condition and separation wise, Ramy isn't really behind Brandon from that standpoint, as far as leg cuts and the condition for this show. So then you see how much bigger he is, and if you're rewarding size, which typically is what happens at the Olympia, I mean, there you kind of have to go with Ramy over Brandon.
Yeah.
So I understand the decision and why it was made. It's not necessarily what I would pick from my preferences, but it makes sense based on the criteria that we've seen.
Yeah, most definitely. Just there's so much muscle on him. I think a lot of people were, disappointed. They were expecting something dramatically improved from last year from Ramy. Obviously, like Tommy mentioned, the face shots that they were posting were just he was so sunk in that people were expecting some kind of a level of conditioning we haven't seen from Ramy. Plus, he did set that bar so high last year for himself with how he looked that it was just a tall order to surpass. Was he worse than last year? I don't know. He might have been close to the same. As just usually like with shows, you compare that a lot to like their last showing, right? And Rami's showing before that just wasn't all that. So then we all of a sudden saw this new Rami, and everybody's like, holy shit, he's so much better. And then I feel like that accentuates what he actually looks like. And then we were kind of expecting, well, at least I was expecting, something even better than that. And it wasn't necessarily better. I think it was close to the same of what it was last year. So it's not like he got worse or he didn't do well or something like that. I just think you didn't have that big contrast anymore from his last showing where it was night and day.
Yeah, that improvement from the Arnold to the Olympia in 2020 was great, and it made everything jump out. As to like you're finally seeing this Rami 2.0, but here it was just kind of same baseline Rami.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I get what you're saying.
Tommy,
I agree with you on Brandon. I thought that this was really kind of his best look.
Yeah.
He was full, he was round, he was in good shape. It just it's not enough. If in this apples and oranges comparison of shape and structure versus massive size, it just wasn't enough.
Now so Rami, deserved to win. He wins that second Olympia. Now, when we get to second and third, this is where I kind of start kind of wondering if that was the right call. How do you guys like Hadi? Because I felt like Hadi had that second place locked down, in my opinion. Obviously, both, during the prejudging and the finals, it surely didn't seem that way on judges' scorecards. But me personally, and obviously we weren't there in person, so I'm going off pictures and videos and what I'm seeing. And I don't know, man. I would have given that second place to Hadi, man, by far.
I like Hadi. He's got a very polished presentation. I just like the way I like the way his tan and oil. He always nails it to me as far as the little things.
Yeah.
He poses well. He transitions really well, like fluently. So I would have had no problem with him. I mean, I picked him to be in second on our
pre-show
preliminary show.
Yep.
Whatever so. Yeah, I think he's right there. Like I said, I think Hadi can still improve, and I don't see Brandon outdoing what he's done. I mean, he's 40, 41, like.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's only one Dexter Jackson, so I don't think you're gonna, what do you do if you're Brandon? If you're going against a guy who's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
You just keep playing your game and hope he comes in off. So it's kind of like, when Ronnie started his reign, everybody either had to quit or get bigger every year.
Yeah.
So is that what's going to happen? Like, now that Rami's got number 2 out of the way, like, are we about to start another mass era because the 2 through 10 guys got to chase number 1, right?
Yeah. No, I
mean, I don't think Nick Walker's going to slow down at all.
No, he's just getting started.
Hunter's just getting started. Who was 6th place? Bonac, he's probably on the way out.
He is on the way out, yeah.
Ian's right. Ian's,
on the way in.
He had a great year, established himself.
Yeah. Now, do you guys think even if we see this great Hadi, is he ever going to get rewarded? Because I feel like last year it was kind of the same deal. I had him beating Phil, and then he obviously got that he got that lower placing than Phil did. Do you guys think that maybe because of like the language barrier and stuff like that, it might be a hard thing for them to give him that Mr. Olympia title? Because they probably look at it somebody like, oh, who's going to be a great representative for the sport? Who's going to be able to promote the sport in a certain way, or they want a certain look. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying, could it be that will be hard for them to reward that to him?
Yeah, I mean, Rami wasn't necessarily the best speaker of English last year. I know it's improved a lot this year, but there's still, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't understand a whole lot of his victory speech this year, aside from him shouting out George Peterson, right? It was a little bit jumbled. So I don't know if it's a language barrier thing. I mean, I don't think you could really find anything better. It would be quite a story to say, look at this guy who's like got a hearing disability and who's still out there with his disability, like dominating the bodybuilding stage. That's awesome. That's a story in itself, right? So I don't know if that's the issue. It's just, I think that he's just a little bit small. When you compare him to the top two guys, they're bigger than him. While he's just absolutely like peeled and he's honestly a lot more aesthetic this year now that his waist is a little bit downsized. I think he just needs to get bigger because this is still bodybuilding.
Right. Somebody actually brought up a good point. I think he's only like 225 pounds right now when he's competing, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. He's got to be one of the smaller guy on stage weight-wise.
Oh, yeah. If they ever made a 222 class, he would reign.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Flex Lewis versus him versus Derek versus, you know what I mean? Like a 222, that'd be the best. I mean, they made a wellness division. They might as well make a 222 bodybuilding class.
That would be interesting. That would be an interesting class. That would be very cool because I feel like it would be even a little bit of a freakier version of 212. Because
all the guys that have trouble, like I know Eduardo Correa was always trying to like suck down into 212.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of guys who would benefit with that 10-pound jump, just like when 202 went to 212.
Yeah. It's that would be a very interesting class because if you add those 10 pounds, that's a game changer for a lot of the guys and just how drastic those physiques can look. Even for a guy like Derek, right? Obviously, new 212 champ, but he's got to suck down so much weight. I feel like we will only see his full potential in the open class, like of what he actually could be in the open class. Because I feel like there's not much room for him to improve in the 212 because it's so hard for him to get down there, And then I think this year they only had one day to kind of rest his body and fill back out, but from the weigh-ins to the prejudging. That's a tall order.
I think Derek's so good though that even though there's not much room for him to improve, he's kind of like, even if he just stays the same, like
just polishes
who's gonna
up.
beat him?
Yeah.
To me, I mean, he won unanimously on the scorecards, and
yeah.
I could just get on Instagram and look at enough pictures and be like, yeah, Derek wins. Like conditioning was equal at best. We'll call it equal. And then it comes down to bodybuilding. Like he outsized Clarita by 30 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a no brainer. So everyone on Instagram that was talking about how was it unanimous, blah, blah, like it's pretty simple. Symmetry, or size and conditioning. Conditioning was equal. We'll give it that. But, from the back and side, Derek made Sean just look. Derek looked like an open competitor who was doing the 212. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Compared to Sean.
I just don't see anybody coming up that can knock that out right now. I think unless, to me, Derek and Rami are the only ones who could knock themselves out right now.
Yeah, very true.
I don't think there's anybody who's right there that can take the throne now that, Rami's got his second one out of the way.
Yeah.
And Derek, finally nailed it.
Finally.
Yeah, and now that Derek has like a legitimate, the best coach in bodybuilding, right? He's got the most wins, 20 Olympia wins, the question mark with Derek was, is he going to be able to peak and come in on point? And I think we kind of know now that with Hani, he probably can, right? Hani doesn't miss too often. He's pretty good. So.
Well, I don't know if I started listening to the podcast Hani puts out, The Truth.
Yeah.
And he talks about, issues that he ran into with both Hadi and Derek in their preps. And he said Derek was using ungodly, I know you need sodium in prep, but he was using massive amounts of salt for every meal, and he was running into issues. So he corrected that. So that could have played a role in past preps why it struggled to come down.
Right. And what wasn't Derek's coach prior to that? Was just the guy that he kind of started off with, and he kind of rode with him?
James Brown. He's a good coach, for sure.
Okay.
I just think, there's no bad blood there from what I understand. I think it was just like it's just a business move.
Yeah, it was time,
Time
right?
to move
Yeah,
on.
it was time for him to
Yeah.
kind of try something else. I mean, we can't keep
There's no question of loyalty. You know what I mean? Like it's at some point you do gotta do what's best for you
right.
if what you're doing isn't working, right? Like
Yeah, you only got one bodybuilding career. Now, so after Hadi, fourth was
Hunter.
Hunter. Yes, that's right. That was a big shocker too, to me. I don't think any of us put him up there that high in our predictions.
Nobody had Hunter in like the top 5, much less top 4.
I had him 8th in my head.
Yeah, I had him and Ian beat
pre-
between for the 6th spot. What do you guys think of him?
From what I heard, so I'll say this: my impression from Friday to Saturday, he improved a lot. Friday, I thought he was horrible, in my opinion. I had no idea why he was in the first call out. I didn't know why he was getting compared. It felt like at prejudging, when he started dripping sweat, they immediately ended the call out and sent him back. And I felt like they were kind of protecting him there. I thought he came off really, really poorly at prejudging. But his finals look was fantastic. He looked big. He had corrected most of the sweating issues, and he was full and he was harder than he was the previous day. So based off of that, I thought he was a little bit better in that 4 through 7 range, but Friday I didn't think so. But what really surprised me was him placing above Nick Walker, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
Nick, to me, was a lot more polished on stage. He nailed his posing. He was separated. He was hard. No struggles. Much better conditioning. What was interesting was that Hunter and Nick were actually similarly sized. From the side shots, they were pretty similar. But from the front and the back, I felt like Nick looked like he was a lot more muscular. But the size differential wasn't as great as I thought it would be. But from what I was told in person, from people who were there in person, Hunter was big and he was hard. And he looked a lot better than you would think on the pictures pictures on live stream that we were seeing.
Yeah, well, see, with Hunter, like you said, I think I got so turned off by his look on Friday, like you said, that I didn't give him I was giving him a biased look on Saturday. I was like, why is he here? Why are they giving this to him over Nick? Because, Nick was sharp. Nick, I mean, there was no surprise there, I mean, the kid is peeled out of his mind. So he looked sharp, he had that stage presence that he did. I think he was riding a lot of confidence, obviously, from the Arnold win. So I was surprised to see Hunter, top Nick over here. But nonetheless,
that would be a good question for a judge too, is like on a 2-day show, especially the Olympia.
Yeah.
Do they have to clear what they saw on Friday to go into Saturday and not have a bias?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't like Hunter on Friday. Fuck what he brings today. You know what I mean? So that's a different perspective.
Because you got to.
Because I thought the same thing.
Yeah, you got to give it to him. To the judges though, they did a pretty good job of judging almost 2 different shows. And then trying to kind of put it together and try to figure out what's the right thing here. So obviously phenomenal job by them to get, the fairest judging possible. Because at the end of the day, we can't forget that it's a 2-day show. So, both of those looks have to be taken into consideration. I think Olympia is one of those shows, if not the only show where both days matter a lot. It's not like you can, a lot of the shows, if you nail the prejudging and you kind of, slump a little bit at the finals, sometimes you'll be able to slide through and still get a good placing. I feel like here it's, you got to nail both days. You got to have that perfect storm both days to do well, or you have to have a dramatically improved look from one day to the other. Once they compare it again. I'm not sure how they go about. I'm not sure if you guys know how they go about. Is the overall score worth the same amount from prejudging and finals? Is it kind of a 50-50 split, or is there a little bit one matters more than the other?
No, it's 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you're saying, I think they probably put more effort in for the Olympia as far as differentiating between like who actually improved and who looks worse on this too. And also, it's like for the other shows, it's a 1-day show, right? Your standard Olympia qualifiers, it's going to be a 1-day show, but this is a 2-day show, so you're going to have greater differences in the physiques, so you're more likely to see guys leapfrog over each other from prejudging the finals. So, but yeah, you make a great point. The judges did an awesome job, I felt, as far as picking, as far as judging based off of their criteria and seeing who actually improved.
Yeah, because like it's so hard for me not to be biased by a lot of the bodybuilders even before the show, even just from seeing them from previous times. It's like right off the bat, like I have a certain expectation from each guy, and it's hard to sometimes clear that bias from your head and actually think about it in a matter of like, what am I seeing right now? You're like, well, this guy looks great, but I know that, let's say, Ian's back is better, or I know that this is better, but it doesn't look that way right now. So it's kind of, for me, a lot of the times I have to be like, okay, stop putting so much of what you've seen from these guys and kind of your emotion towards that into what you think it's going to be. At first, I was a little disappointed with my boy William. Like I was like, oh, why isn't he getting pulled back in? And I looked at him, I was like, all right, man, like he was one of your favorite bodybuilders. You got to relax now because it's just not working right now. It wasn't there for him.
Yeah, he's another one who's just, he's not getting any better anymore. To me, the legs look down and just overall size. They say once a bodybuilder's legs start going, that's kind of when it's like you've hit that point. I think 6th is probably the lowest placing he's got at the Olympia in a while.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's been perennial top 5 for a while now. So, and with all the the guys that beat him, Hunter, Nick, Hottie, other than Brandon, no, but those 3 are young and only getting better.
Yeah.
Or younger. I don't actually know how old Hottie is, but
he's 33. He's really young.
So yeah, young. Those guys are only going to keep improving. And his, even at Williams' best with his height, it looked like, I don't remember what year I thought was his best, but that physique was pretty much tapped as far as how much muscle you could put on it before it's just going to start to not have a flow anymore. So
yeah,
I don't see, and he's got Ian right on his heels. And on point Akeem, and Akeem from last year probably beats William this year. Yeah. So I just think, the time is coming. The new guard, it's the old guard is getting pushed out. We're getting a lot of these newer, younger guys who are late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s. What's Rami's like? What, 36, 37? Yeah. He's still young.
Yeah.
So kind of a changing of the guard.
Yeah, that was a cool thing about the open in this year in the Olympia, which I liked a lot. Like Tommy said, there's kind of a changing of the guard. The new guys, all came in, made a name for themselves. It was kind of that year when it was like, all right, well, there's new guys in town and they're going to be around. So, we're going to have to start changing things up around here because, you know how it is. Once for the next, 5-6 years, we're going to be seeing, Hunter, Nick, Hadi, Rami. That's going to be our top guys, which is changing. It's not going to be the Williams anymore, obviously no Dexter anymore. That's out of there. Phil is finally, I think where you can put that to rest. Obviously the Kai rumor that can be put to rest because I feel like every Olympia was like always the same freaking thing. Oh, maybe Kai, maybe Phil. Like, man, these guys are gone, man. There's new guys coming in that will, who knows? They might even beat them even if they come back. You don't know what these guys look like. You know how bodybuilding is. You take some time off. You don't know if you're going to look like the same. You don't know if your body's going to react the same. You don't know how everything's going to feel. Who knows? Your body might not wake up again to be stage ready like that. So it was a cool thing to see all the new guys come in, get high placings in the Olympia because most of the new guys, they were all top 10, which was great. It was kind of was the show where everything kind of started changing. Now, before we move off the topic of open bodybuilding and move on to something else, what do you guys think of Patrick Moore? What's going on here?
Man, I want to talk about, when we're talking about you guys, I want to talk about James and
I knew it.
Patrick Moore. Because I need my credit for my prediction on James Hollington.
You did.
Right?
I'll give you that.
I knew it. I could tell when I saw his body that it was shrinking, and I knew that it was out of control. And but I felt bad for him, because Patrick Tour. I don't think Patrick Tour had a particularly good Olympia.
Yeah.
As far as his clients, James was a little off. He had several guys in the classic who didn't do so hot. Abtin Shekarabi, he's a classic guy. Then his guy Darwin Uribe didn't do so good. And then Ian was okay. I didn't think it was his best look. I didn't think it was horrible, but it still wasn't the Ian that we saw from the Olympia last year, I felt like, where he was just kind of blew us away with how peaked and perfect he was. But yeah, James, I think I still stand by it, man. I think even if he retained all of his muscle in the prep, I think he's just structurally through the shoulders, it's just not really there. He's kind of lacking in the arms genetically. I don't see him as a guy who's really going to ever challenge for that top 6.
Yeah.
The way people have been putting him.
Well, hey, he made a lot of noise the past year, and obviously him not showing up to the Olympia last year, he was one of those guys, I think, where everybody was kind of excited to see him actually stand next to all these guys and kind of figure out where he belongs in that, top tier or second tier or third tier, whichever tier you want to put him in now. But I think that kind of put it to rest, and it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Like, that's the thing about bodybuilding. Everybody looks great, by themselves. But when you put them next to each other, that's when you kind of start figuring out, okay, this is where this person belongs. This is where that person belongs. So it's kind of exciting to see them actually stand next to each other, So, yeah.
That's why we have shows.
That's why you have the shows.
Patrick Moore, it's just the same story with him year after year, right? He refuses to take the time off to add muscle. I think he thinks that he can add the 15 pounds that he needs in a 4-month true off season, and it's not how it works for almost anybody.
Yeah.
No, I think it's pretty set in stone that the Olympia is a muscle show. Like they want musculature. Even they might even let conditioning slide 2% if you come in massive.
Yeah.
So that look will never do well at the Olympia. He might keep winning, tier 2 pro shows, but
yeah,
he won't do well at the Olympia.
Yeah, he might be the perennial Cal Pro champion for a little bit, but yeah, it's one of those things like, bodybuilding is such a weird sport, and if you're not set up for it mentally, where like you're okay with taking time off from that stage, and I think a lot of the guys are worried about whether there still be if they'll be forgotten if they take too long of an off season. Let's just put it that way. It's like, will my following shrink? Will this shrink if I take time off from the stage? Will my sponsors get upset if I take time off from the stage? But at the end of the day, man, if you actually want to win in bodybuilding, you got to take that time off sometimes, especially at the level these guys are competing at. Nothing's going to get you better.
I mean, even if you're only going to take 12 months, like if you're intentional about every single day for that 8-month period that you have of your off season, and you guys know you have to hate food. You have to just be eating so much every day that it feels like a goddamn job. And I don't know Patrick's situation. I don't even really follow him, so I don't really know his situation well enough. I don't know if he's staring down that last meal every night, like, I got to get this in. To me, gives me the vibe he doesn't. So
he definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, I've heard interviews with him, and he's talked about his off-season approach, and he's one of those guys who thinks his metabolism is so good that he has to eat junk food all the time to get his calories in, which we both know means he eats 1 or 2 meals of junk food, and then he's inconsistent with his eating. Like it's a lot harder to eat consistent large quantities of clean food, clean body food, than it is to eat a couple meals of junk food and Kit Kats and fucking Reese's bars. So it's,
if anything, yeah, junk food. My weight either stays the same or it goes down. Like a clean bodybuilding meals will, maybe like a 90% clean and then 10% just to get those extra calories once you're between that 5,000 and 7,000 caloric intake a day. But I tried the whole Juan Morel move when I was younger because I thought I had a fast metabolism, and like that was the only time I've ever been like skinny fat.
Yeah.
I was just eating Wendy's like every day.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets away with it, to be honest with you. Well, he doesn't get away with it anymore, but I don't know.
Oh, Juan?
Yeah. That guy's
he's just an anomaly.
Yeah,
you got to be an anomaly.
Freak. He eats like 5-6 of those cookies. I mean, don't get me wrong, like his cookies are great, right? But I eat like half of one, maybe a full one, and I'm like, that's it. I'm stuffed up for the next like 8 hours. Like I just got this like, when you eat too much sugar, you just can't eat anything else because like I don't know, you just feel stuffed up and slowed down with everything. I don't know how he's eaten like 8 in a day before. It's insane. And he was carving up on those cookies his last Olympia appearance. I mean, it looked like it, but
he's so. You look at his family, and they're all like, no offense, but they're all heavily overweight.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
older brother or his younger brother, they're all really heavy people.
Yeah.
So he's running around eating junk food, looking in good shape year round. So.
Yeah.
Another guy who has all the potential, like Regan Grimes, just perennial 14th place between 14th and 16th. That's his spots.
Yeah, he's one of those who needs to put on a lot of size onto that frame. Pretty physique, pretty guy in general, I guess. But
insane structure. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, and this is not a knock on him. Like, if he doesn't want to push bodybuilding further than where he's at, that's great. Make your money, do your YouTube stuff, make your paper. But that's where I question. I just wonder, like, do you really want to go any further than where you are? Because if you don't, maybe you'll just keep doing what you're doing, and you're okay with getting the hype on social media all the way up to the show. And then, I mean, nobody even knows your placings unless you follow bodybuilding fully. By 2 days after the Olympia, nobody knows anybody other than the winner.
Very true.
Right? Like that's the area we live in now. Like no one even cares what you place. You just need to have the right social media plugs during your prep.
Yeah.
Have your YouTube crews, have all your money making endeavors lined up, have a really good prep, and then you could place dead last. Nobody will really care.
Yeah, very true. Did you guys catch any of the Classic at all?
Yeah, I watched the Classic.
A little bit.
It was pretty similar to last year, right?
Very similar. Yeah.
Fifth guy swapped around. We had 2 new guys in the top 5.
Yeah.
I really liked. I think it was a pretty dominant look for Bumstead. When you see Terrence and Breon by themselves, they look fantastic. They're peeled, separated, beautiful physiques. But then you put them next to Chris, who's got all those things, and he's 6'2".
Yes.
You're not going to do that. It's just, it doesn't happen.
He's just such a big presence on the stage. He's a big human being. Obviously we're not talking open bodybuilding, but he's just a big guy. He's tall. He's got the look. He's got the fan base. He's a great ambassador for the sport. In order for somebody to take this guy down, they're going to have to bring something really special that's going to put him to sleep, because they're not going to give Chris up as the ambassador for Classic anytime soon. It's going to have to be something where he comes really bad off, or he's got some kind of an autoimmune disease, I believe. So unless that flares up, that could knock him off the throne while he's prepping. But other than that, they're not going to give that spot up easy. So whoever is coming after Chris, you gotta bring something phenomenal and special, because the guy looks good. He's got the perfect Classic look. He's got so many good things. He's got tons of followers. he's just great for the industry. So, no knocks on him there. I mean, that top 6 was what they were all good guys. I felt like it was fairly judged. Nothing crazy going on there. No surprises there, in my opinion.
Do you think Chris? I mean, I think he won hands down. But do you think Chris being? I don't think Chris was better than last year. I think he was equivalent. I don't think he outdid last year personally.
Yeah,
So I think what I'm asking is, do you think Terrence might have closed the gap for the next year? Whereas if Chris came in this year and just destroyed last year, it would be like, all right, Terrence,
Chris came in
perennial second place.
Yeah, Chris came in a little heavier. I don't know the exact number, but he said he came in a little heavier. So I don't think he was as sharp as he was last year. I'll agree with that. I don't think it was as dry and as sharp as he was last year. So who knows if, that maybe made him look not as improved. So maybe if he pulled down a little bit harder in conditioning and got tighter, then maybe we would have saw more of the improvements. But he was so sharp last year that whatever couple pounds of muscle he put on was just hard to see. Because the jump from the year prior to that to his second Olympia win was just insane. When you put the picture side by side, it was like his back and his arms were it was a brand new person. It wasn't even the same. So that window narrowed down. Kind of the same thing with Rami and with Chris. You were expecting some crazy change from last year to this year, and it just wasn't there. So, but he did. I think he fairly won the show. Terrence definitely closed the gap. He was peeled. He still has that shape. He beat a 2-time classic Mr. Olympia in Breon twice now. So, I think he made that point very clear that he is better than Breon. He definitely closed the gap. He definitely did, I think
they've got a nice rivalry built now, 2 years in a row, 1-2. So it'll be a good next year.
Yeah. Chris kind of is pulling away from that pack in that aspect. There is a new guy that I looked pretty good, which has tons of potential. Is the guy from Germany, Urs. He just flew in out of nowhere into that division. And he's 23. So,
okay.
Or I'm not sure. You might be right. 21 or 23, whatever. Super young. And he surprised a lot of people. He just kind of crept into that call out. And then all of a sudden he's fighting in that call out. And I was like, well, this kid is actually pretty good, and, obviously his upper body is nowhere near where it needs to be compared with that top 3, between Breon, Terrence and Chris. But that guy can do some damage in a few years. And with him being that young, who knows? He might be the next one to knock down Chris. And whenever Chris is done beating people in, 5, 6, 7 years.
I don't know where his body weight is in relation to the weight cap, but if he has room to grow within the class, he's going to be hell on wheels, man.
Yeah.
Because he's really got it all. The look.
Yeah.
He's got a fantastic on stage. His posing presence, his presentation, his stage presence, his posing. It's all super good, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time. Did you watch his posing routine?
Yeah. It was fun. He did a little dance part, it looked like he had fun up there, and that resonates. When the guy that's performing or bodybuilder is posing and it's having fun, it resonates. So I think a lot of people liked it. So I think he's got the potential to be the next big thing in classic if he sticks around and he keeps working hard and he doesn't do anything stupid per se or stays healthy. Then I think he's got some great potential, because he came up so quick. I mean, so quick. It was he won his pro card, I think 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, then he won a show, and now he's at the O, and he's getting these call outs next to 3 big hitters of classic physique between, Breon, Terrence, and you got an Arnold classic champ. You got a 2-time, 2-time champion, and now a 3-time champion, all, the same call out as you. It's pretty good, that's pretty good. So, any other final thoughts from you guys on Classic Physique?
Tim's I'm not sure what happened there with Robert Timms.
I'm glad you brought that up.
A lot better. I felt like he was less impressive for me compared to in Texas. I don't know if it was just my expectation was too high or what, but I felt like his legs looked a little thinner.
Maybe it was the guys that he was getting, who were on stage before him or after him that you were, it's a different level, obviously, from the guys that were at the Olympia than at the Texas Pro.
For sure. It was a much better lineup this year. Very different lineup.
Yeah.
And then Brian Jones improved from last year, but I think there was a lot more guys in the lineup than there were last year. And so it was a deeper lineup, and so we saw him sink a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if they really like his look for a classic, even though he's got these structural gifts and muscle belly gifts. I don't know if that's what they're looking for the classic.
Here's my opinion on Brian. He's good. He's great. I mean, phenomenal bodybuilder. But the guys that are in classic, they're just so structurally good right now, like that's just hard to beat in that aspect. And in classic, I think they're looking for, those structurally perfect guys almost that, he might just have a hard time with when it comes to that, because he's a phenomenal bodybuilder. He looks great. He can get in shape. We've seen him in shape. So hard call for Brian. I don't know what he's going to do. Hard call. I don't know what the